Yeah, so we're gonna go to like Katsuhiro Harada's Twitter channel, Twitter feed, right? And what essentially happened was that I think it was like 2 days ago, or like, yeah, it was 2 days ago. Apparently, Harada was on social media. He was more specifically on Twitter, and he's just been casually dropping Tekken 8 info like there's like no tomorrow. He was essentially doing like a Q&A session, like kind of like long ago that Ed Boon did for upcoming titles, and everybody was just hounding Ed Boon for a new like Mortal Kombat, sort of similar like that. And so Harada kind of did like the same thing, and he was pretty much like explicit. One person asked, can we get crossplay, right? And crossplay is essentially like, can you play as a PS5 user with a Steam player? Harada said, of course I will. By the way, the previous version, when the previous generation consoles were released, I had already proposed crossplay between the two platforms. However, at that time, they were at odds with each other over their mutual interests and player-to-player security issue, and repeatedly refused. Wow, yeah, I mean, that's great. Tekken 8 will have crossplay, right? That's fantastic news. That's one of the few things that, like, you know, makes a fighting game super successful, or one of like the pillars I would like call that make like a fighting game like successful. Characters and roster is one of those pillars. Graphically, does it look like pleasing? What was it? Great online. Does it have like rollback netcode? Does it have good single player content? Will it like engage you in the later on in life? And can you connect to like all players in like life, which is, you know, crossplay. And crossplay is such like an essential like tool, so that it doesn't just mitigate and restrict one player base of players that play a respective version of a fighting game. No, it expands like the horizon, and we get more players playing like a game and not be, you know, fucking halted by hardware and slash software limitations, right? We get to play with fucking like anybody, you know? And so Tekken 8 will be having like crossplay. That's absolutely. I wish like all fighting games could like have, you know, crossplay. Here's to hoping that Street Fighter 6 will have like crossplay, right? So far, no mention of that yet. Online, you know, feels smooth like butter, right? That's a good thing, but man, would it be awesome to have Street Fighter crossplay in Street Fighter 6, right? That would just like bring in more fans, because like, you know, as fighting games, as content creators, we want more people to be brought up under the fighting game community umbrella, right? It's our seldom wish to get more people to play fighting games and enjoy fighting games through and through, their wholeheartedness, right? They announced they were open with crossplay a few years ago, but in reality, they didn't actively support third parties at the time, and the hurdles were actually quite high. There are still some problems left, but it will be possible. Oh, yeah, and speaking of rollback, there it is, right? Okay, but will there be rollback? Rada already answered. Already installed it, and it already has what you want. The reason why we don't make big announcements like crossplay is because even if we make big announcements, people like you will only say things like, wow, that's normal in this day and age, so shut up and sit there. That's where this channel point comes in.
Shut up and sit the head down.
Yeah, because like the reason behind this, right? The reason why, like, you know, Harada, you know, has like these like sayings, or like, you know, don't ask me for shit, shut up and sit the hell down. He's the fucking like Bandai Namco like manager, like, so he takes a lot of shit from fans, a lot of like complaints from Tekken players, not just Tekken players, but back in the day when Smash Brothers was there, he was the head Bandai Namco representative. And what did Bandai Namco help make, not in terms of like Tekken, they helped develop Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Hence the reason why Khaiza is in there, because it's part Bandai Namco, right? Part of like what makes like Smash Bros. The way Smash Bros. is what Bandai Namco helped out a long way through their development process, you know? But he takes up a lot of shit from fans, right? A lot of like crazy ass like fucking like complaints from people all around the world, right? And you know, taking up complaints from a lot of people around the world like can be pretty like miserable, you know, because everybody has an opinion and everybody has like an entitled opinion, and can even be like an extreme a dumb opinion, right? Just some people just saying like some hot take bullshit around like on Twitter or some shit like that, and it just like causes up a stink, right? And all that shit, you know? It's there for like clout and just like, you know, publicity, right? And Harada has to be on like the receiving end of that whenever he hears players like, you know, talking about, oh, you're missing this character, oh, the online kind of like sucks. It's like, you know, he understands that. And he even said like, we were just like reading up on these like tweets, like he wanted to have like Tekken with like functional online, but third parties like told him like no, right? And this is like, you know, different from fucking other like producers, right, or companies that have like vocal men's like talking about like their status on like a certain like game. Harada's very like open. He loves and is passionate about, you know, certain like games. He even like entered one Evo and played Fang in a match. That's how much he cares for like the Tekken community and the fighting game like community in a nutshell, man. Mans is on top, right? Even though we talk like so much shit like about him, but you gotta give him props. You gotta give Harada props that like he listens and respects opinions, but he doesn't want to take shit, right? And if anybody who knows, if anybody knows about like, you know, internet culture and like in a nutshell, internet people are assholes, right? They're the most, you know, mind-boggling, most bigoted fucking assholes in the goddamn realm, and this has not changed since like the dawn of the internet. People are toxic fucking assholes on the internet to this like day. It doesn't change, it doesn't go away. This is part of reality, right? But that's good. Like rollback netcode will be available in Tekken 8, so we're gonna have like smooth online. Tekken 7 kind of like did that in a way, but you know, it's still delay-based netcode. It was still made with the infrastructure of, you know, horrible like, you know, laggy online. The last time I played, like I always say, was when Leroy came out. I played like a few matches and that was it. That was fucking it. I did not like playing like Tekken online, so I kind of just like stopped. Playing with friends, however, locally is fine via online. But playing on the World Wide Web with like, you know, the sudden like freezes and all that shit, and like, you know, Tekken is a very input sensitive fucking like game where you press a button, you have to make sure it fucking like counts, right? So yeah, it made me want to scream like Dio over here. When are we getting a new Tekken 8 trailer? I'll only secretly tell your parents, so please tell me your phone number. How many characters should we expect for Tekken 8 at launch? I think, and Karada said this, I think it's a lot more than Capcom-san. Of course, character modeling, rigging, and costume design are all new assets, so it's hard work. That's why we're trying to increase the number of launches. Oh, so we could potentially be seeing, you know, like a 20 plus, or maybe like hopefully a 30 plus like roster, because how many characters are in Street Fighter 6, right? There's Ryu, Luke, Jamie, Chun-Li, Actually, you know, let's go to like the Street Fighter side. 18. There are 18 characters in Street Fighter 6, right? And so Harada is saying like it's going to be a lot more. Emphasis on the wording here. A lot more, right? So that's good. That's good, right? Yeah, that's definitely fucking good, you know? But of course, as Harada said, you know, it is a 3D fighter, so what do 3D fighters like have is that, you know, they have fucking character rigging, they have all this like hard-working like tasks that the development team have to like go through to get like these characters out, right? And it's like okay, we got like characters. You're not going to be seeing like a character trailer anytime soon, but they are coming, right? So we could be potentially seeing like 20 plus or maybe like almost or if not more size than the Tekken 7 like base roster, right? Because outside of like the season 1 characters, I think there were like 36 characters. But that was like Tekken 7. Who knows? You know, maybe like some characters are going to be getting cut, or some characters are going to be, you know, the same, right? From like Tekken 7, like DLC characters and all that stuff. So yeah, closed alpha testing at each event. So please wait for the beta. Recommended specs for Tekken 8 on PC. It's not confirmed yet, but if you want to play 4K native, the higher the specs, the better. One thing I can say is that if you are in an environment where you have to worry about specs, I recommend playing on console. Yep, that's yep, that's a similar like feeling that we talked about for you know, fighting game devs like in Japan that really want to put out closed beta tests on console first and in PC, right? But Harada is definitely invested in the fucking PC realm, because you know Street Fighter 6 is also doing their they're doing their shit on PC at launch. So Tekken is going to be, you know, following suit to that, right? And of course there will be a PC version, but no like Steam recommended specs or anything of that shit like that. But with higher PC like rigs, and Tekken 8 is, you know, a gorgeous fucking game, right? Even though Harada and Michael Murray was at like, you know, one interview saying that they were kind of like disappointed with the graphic design of Tekken. That more specifically, they were mentioning, you know, the lighting was like a huge issue for them. But overall, Tekken 8 looks fantastic. Characters look high fidelity, you know, graphically textured, you know, everything about like Tekken looks visually pleasing to the well, almost everything pleasing to the eye. Like characters look good, you know, all that stuff. As far as like other physics engines and all that shit, it's hard. It'll be a hard like tell, you know. But Harada recommends playing on like console version, right? Because, you know, obviously we talked about this before. Fighting game devs will always recommend console versions of games for like, you know, fighting game like betas and all that shit, because consoles are very uniform. They no matter where you buy a PS5, they will all have like the same hardware. They will all have like the same firmware. Storage is, you know, give or take, right, depending on like PS5, because they use like SSD, but every like console is uniform, so it's easier to gather information, especially on like a fighting game beta, on, you know, what sort of like things can we draw, what sort of like statistics can we draw from these like people playing our closed alpha test of our up and coming video game, you know? It's easier to tell. And in comparison to like PCs, right? I'm like running like a PC. I got like, you know, an i7 Intel Core processor, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 3060, right? And it runs smooth, right? It runs smooth. there is like occasional graphics glitches, but that's only if I don't update my graphics card, if I don't update my OS, right? And that can sometimes, you know, cause the games to like glitch or like the graphics card to glitch. So that is a problem, but that's like me. And because of that, you know, my PC could be different from my friend's PC or another person's PC that have very different specs, different OS, different graphics card, all that shit. So it's hard to tell. It's hard to gather data, any like positive or negatives about a fighting game closed alpha test if everybody is running like a different PC rig, right? But it's good that Harada reassured fans that there will be like a PC version because, you know, PC games make everything a little bit better. I played like Resident Evil on PC, and it felt great. Like aiming felt good, aiming felt smooth, right? Definitely much more so than the PS5 version, which has like caked in like input lag. Aiming felt like so sluggish, you know? Then he would like retweet with what was it, a quote tweet with Arson Ash, all that shit. But yeah, there was just like a lot of stuff.